So to kick us off, I'll start by highlighting the mission of the water boards. What is it that we do? The water board's mission is to preserve, enhance, and restore the quality of California's water resources and drinking water for the protection of the environment, public health, and all beneficial uses, and to ensure proper water resource allocation and efficient use for the benefit of present and future generations. The water boards work to achieve our goals through an array of programs established within our major divisions and regions throughout California. That being said, I also want to take this time to recognize that in the midst of a pandemic and political unrest, our state and tribal entities, along with communities across the state, continue to work towards healing and working together. So our work here today supports Indigenous and community voices as we work together to provide clean, safe, affordable water to all Californians. So now we'll move on to some meeting logistics and an overview of what we'll be discussing today. The meeting is being held virtually through Zoom, and this state water presentation is being recorded. We will end the recording before moving on to the public comment period, because we welcome and encourage you to be open and honest. So remember, this meeting is also an opportunity for you to provide feedback and questions on this process. There are various ways to provide your public comment today, and we'll talk about that over the course of the next couple of slides. This meeting is being held in English and Spanish. So if you're using Zoom, you may want to select your language if you need Spanish interpretation using the interpretation button at the bottom of your screen. And it looks like a globe. And to ensure that the meeting is being interpreted completely, there may be short pauses between the transition of slides today. If our presentation is too big for your screen, please set your view to fit screen. Typically, a taskbar is found on the bottom of your Zoom window, but it can also be at the top of your screen sometimes. To improve streaming quality, most presenters will not be sharing their video today. And if you're having technical issues, please email ddw-administrator@waterboards.ca.gov or type it into the Q&A function on the bottom of your screen if you're on Zoom. To comment on today's presentation, type it into the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. Or you can email ddw-administrator@waterboards.ca.gov. In your email, please include your first and last name, if you're here representing an organization or another individual, the last 3 digits of your phone number so we can find you on Zoom, whether you'd like to read your comment or if you'd like to have it read for you, and in the subject line, write Valley Forge public comment. So for example, my comment would be, John Doe, here on behalf of the Pizza Lovers Group 000, read my comment myself. My question is, why is there no pizza at this meeting? And don't worry, we'll repeat these instructions again during the public comment period. Next slide. Now on to our meeting guidelines. In the event that you get disconnected from the meeting, please rejoin using the Zoom link or the call-in number. Everyone will have their microphones muted and cameras turned off until the public comment segment begins after our presentation. To speak during our public comment period, you'll want to raise your virtual hand. This will help us locate you in the attendees list. If you're called upon, you will be asked to unmute yourself and speak. I understand we have some folks that are joining us via phone today. So as a reminder, if you're calling in and you'd like to raise your hand, please press *9 on your telephone keypad. Again, that's *9 to raise your hand for those calling in. And if you're called upon, you'll press *6 to unmute yourself. With all that being said, let's practice raising our virtual hands. Can I have everyone on the call please raise your virtual hand? Remember, there's a raise hand button at the bottom of your screen. If you're calling in, you'll press *9 to raise your hand. Let's see, I think half of us got it so far. We're practicing raising our virtual hands, everybody. If you're on the phone, it's *9. Okay, great. I will lower all of your hands now. And just like that, you are all Zoom pros. So you'll want to remember to do that during our public comment period after the presentation. So this meeting is part of the new Safer Drinking Water program. SAFER stands for the Safe and Affordable Funding for Equity and Resilience. The goal of the SAFER program is to provide safe and affordable drinking water for every Californian, and it is run by the State Water Board. The SAFER program provides support to small local water systems that have violations of drinking water standards. This support comes in many forms, like grants, loans, technical assistance, regulatory efforts, and more. SAFER addresses the long-standing water needs of California's most vulnerable communities and is built on the legacy work of California's Human Right to Water Law, Proposition 1, and Proposition 668. At the water boards, the SAFER program is primarily implemented by 3 of our divisions. Number 1, the Division of Drinking Water, who work with drinking water systems. Number 2, the Division of Financial Assistance, who work on funding short and long-term solutions. And number 3, the Office of Public Participation. We're engaging with communities served by those systems along the way. Staff from all 3 of those divisions are on the call today. Lastly, there's a SAFER Advisory Group, which is a group of 19 members who represent various parts of the stakeholder community. If you're interested in learning more, you can visit our website at waterboards.ca.gov/SAFER. Here's our meeting agenda for tonight. We'll start off with some background information on the Valley Forge Water Association, followed by an overview of the administrator process. We'll then introduce the potential administrator for Valley Forge and share some information on their qualifications and scope of work. Then we'll go over community involvement and how your involvement is critical to this process and its next steps. And finally, we'll take your public comments and questions. As a reminder, State Water Board staff are here to listen to your comments and your questions. This is your opportunity to provide feedback on any part of this. Your input is important because it will help the administrator make decisions based on what is most beneficial to your community. So now on to the presentation, starting with the background of the Valley Forge Water Association. I'll pass the mic to our first presenter, Stephen Coe. The floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Excel. Hi, everyone. My name is Stephen Coe, and I'm an engineer with the Division of Drinking Water's Northern Engagement Unit. Today, I will be giving you some background information on the Valley Forge Water Association, which is the system that provides water to some of you on this call today. This will hopefully give you a better understanding of the State Water Board's concerns about the system and the reason why they are in need of an administrator. Next slide, please. First, I'll give some background information on Valley Forge Water Association. It's a pretty simple system, but I think this will help you understand the violations that are associated with the system, which I will be describing later. The water system serves a population of 61 people through 19 service connections. It consists of 3 groundwater sources which are well 1, well 2, and well 3. Due to frequent detections of total coliform and E. coli at all groundwater sources, the water system has been directed to provide a minimum of 99.99% inactivation of viruses, also known as 4-log inactivation. In other words, the system must inactivate 99.99% of bacteria. Therefore, the source water is injected with sodium hypochlorite or chlorine. To ensure the water is safe to drink, Valley Forge Water Association must make sure there is chlorine residual or a certain level of chlorine in the water. After the chlorine injection, the water is stored in 2 8,000-gallon concrete storage tanks. Water is then pumped from the storage tanks to the distribution system. There is also a 3,500-gallon storage tank located within the distribution system. This storage tank is backfilled via pressure from the distribution system of pressure zone 1. Water is pumped from this 3,500-gallon tank to a second pressure zone within the distribution system. The water system is regulated by the State Water Resources Control Board, Division of Drinking Water, Sonoma District Office. Next slide, please. Valley Forge Water Association has several open violations. They are as follows. The water system has an open compliance order for violating the maximum contaminant level for nitrate. The first nitrate exceedance was on September 2006, and since then, the water system has been out of compliance. Nitrate is an inorganic contaminant that has severe health risks. Infants that are below the age of 6 months that drink water with nitrate in excess of the maximum contaminant level can become seriously ill. High nitrate levels interfere with the capacity of the infant's blood to carry oxygen and can result in shortness of breath and blueness in the skin. This is known as blue baby syndrome. Nitrate is also a health hazard to pregnant women as well, affecting the oxygen carrying ability of the blood of pregnant women. Additionally, the water system has received a compliance order for violating the maximum contaminant level for disinfectant byproducts, specifically total trihalomethanes and haloacetic acids. Some people who drink water containing disinfection byproducts in excess of the maximum contaminant level over many years may experience liver, kidney, or central nervous system problems and may have an increased risk of getting cancer. Finally, the water system has a history of E. coli and total coliform in their source water. On October 2015, the system was directed to provide a minimum of 99.99% virus inactivation, or 4-log inactivation, due to coliform and E. coli found in the source water. The system failed to achieve 4-log inactivation and was cited on September 2019 for violation of the groundwater rule. Coliform and E. coli are bacteria whose presence indicates that the water may be contaminated with human or animal wastes. Microbes in these wastes can cause short-term effects, such as diarrhea, cramps, nausea, headaches, or other symptoms. They may pose a special health risk for infants, young children, some of the elderly, and people with severely compromised immune systems. These 3 violations could lead to serious health issues and need to be fixed. Okay, next slide, please. Valley Forge Water Association also has system limitations. The water system has limited management capacity along with limited financial capacity, affecting their ability to pay for solutions to their problems. Next slide. With regards to physical deficiencies, well 1 does not have an annular seal, and well 2's annular seal is only 15 feet deep, which is below the minimum requirement of 50 feet. An annular seal is a material between the borehole wall and the well casing, and its purpose is to keep surface water and contamination out of the well. All 3 wells are located in a cattle pasture, which, due to the annular seal issues, poses a severe health risk as animal manure can get into the water and cause contamination. Now, to provide an overview of the administrator, I'd like to turn the presentation over to Brian Kidwell. Brian?
Great, thank you, Stephen. As Stephen mentioned, my name is Brian Kidwell, and I'm the Senior Engineer for the Northern Engagement Unit within our new SAPER section. And my portion of the presentation will cover the administrator, such as the authority given to the State Water Board, the definition of an administrator, and some of the tasks the administrator will be dealing with. Slide, please. So what gives the State Water Board the authority to order an administrator? Section 116686 of the California Health and Safety Code, adopted in September of 2018, gave the State Water Board new authority to order the appointment of an administrator to a public water system after it makes findings that are required and completes the required public notification process. An administrator can be appointed to a designated public water system to provide administrative, technical, operational, legal, or managerial services, or any combination of those services, as well as full management and control of all aspects of a designated water system. The State Water Board sent a letter to the Valley Forge Water Association dated July 29th, 2020, which started the process to formally designate the water system. The State Water Board determined that the Valley Forge Water Association serves a disadvantaged community, meaning that the median household income of the customer base is below 80% of the statewide median household income, and that the water system consistently fails to provide an adequate supply of affordable, safe drinking water. The State Water Board determined that the Valley Forge Water Association consistently fails to provide an adequate supply of affordable, safe drinking water because the system is currently in violation of the nitrate MCO, disinfection byproducts MCO, and failed to provide for-log inactivation, as Stephen has previously mentioned. The State Water Board also has concerns regarding the long-term sustainability of the water system. So what is a full scope administrator? A full scope administrator is a person or entity who is appointed and or authorized to exercise total and complete managerial control over a designated water system. The administrator shall have all necessary licenses and certifications for the scope of the appointment. For example, if the scope of the appointment includes the operation of a water system, the administrator must have certified operators or the ability to subcontract certified operators. The administrator shall also have sufficient experience in the tasks that will be required of them. For example, if the administrator is required to develop a capital improvement plan or a 5-year budget, the administrator must have sufficient experience in doing so. It should also be noted that the administrator will also be subject to a background check. The State Water Board views administrators as a relatively flexible tool that can be tailored to the needs of a water system. All actions taken by an administrator are required to be in the best interest of the community served by the water system and must be intended to develop the water system's capability to sustainably deliver an adequate supply of affordable, safe drinking water so that the services of an administrator are no longer necessary. So what are some of the tasks that an administrator will be required to do? The full scope administrator will be required to complete numerous tasks in order to help the Valley Forge Water Association provide safe, clean drinking water. Many of these tasks may be unknown until the administrator has full control of the water system. One known task is that the administrator will need to address is open compliance orders regarding the nitrate MCL exceedance, the groundwater rule, and disinfection byproducts MCL exceedance. Currently, the water system is involved with a funding project that is investigating other potential sources of water. The administrator will be tasked with investigating the current situation regarding the current funding project and working with Sonoma District Office to keep the water system moving towards compliance. The administrator will also need to investigate any physical deficiencies and necessary repairs of the water system. The administrator will also be tasked with securing any necessary funding to complete these repairs. As previously mentioned, the administrator will be tasked with quite a lot. The administrator will also be required to conduct a public meeting every 3 months. These meetings will cover a wide range of topics. Some of the topics covered in these quarterly meetings will be performance of the water system, the financial health of the water system, any major projects or plans going forward, any changes to water rates, and any other significant matters. The administrator is also required to conduct a public meeting before taking any of the following actions: finalizing an operation budget, entering into any long-term contracts, initiating any planning projects or infrastructure improvements, and lastly, before making any financial commitments. The administrator is also required to conduct public outreach. Before any public meeting, the administrator must give notice 10 days prior. There must also be a public comment period for all public meetings. The administrator must also provide regular updates to the community. If necessary, the administrator must obtain translation services for any public outreach. The administrator will also be tasked with developing, with assistance from the State Water Board and the community served by the Valley Forge Water Association, a post-administrator drinking water service plan. The purpose of this plan is to develop, within the shortest practicable time frame, adequate technical, managerial, and financial capacity to deliver an adequate supply of affordable, safe drinking water so that the services of an administrator are no longer necessary. Specifically, within 12 months of commencing duties as an administrator, the administrator shall submit to the State Water Board a draft post-administrator drinking water service plan. It should be noted that the time frame for submittal may be extended upon written approval by the State Water Board. The post-administrator drinking water service plan shall contain each of the following elements. 1, identification and evaluation of the technical, managerial, and financial issues preventing the designated water system from serving its customers with an adequate supply of safe and affordable drinking water. 2, identification and evaluation of significant future issues the designated water system may encounter that may impact the water system's ability to supply its customers with an adequate supply of safe and affordable drinking water. 3, a detailed plan for developing the necessary technical, managerial, and financial competencies in the shortest time frame possible so that the services of an administrator would no longer be required. 4, the additional resources that will be needed to implement the post-administrator drinking water service plans. 5, an evaluation of the feasibility of long-term public governance or community ownership options for the designated water system. And 6, an evaluation of the feasibility of connecting to or consolidating the designated water system with another public water system. I've just described what the administrator will be tasked with doing. Now let's talk about who the proposed administrator is for the Valley Forge Water Association. The proposed administrator for the Valley Forge Water Association is Russian River Utility. Russian River Utility is a water and sewer management company located in Forestville. The company was incorporated in the state of California in April 1983. Russian River Utility operates treatment plants, collects water samples, reads meters, conducts billing, and prepares all reports and permits for public, private, and mutual water systems and wastewater systems in Sonoma County. Originally, the company was organized to operate a deteriorated private water system acquired by a public county water district. Russian River Utilities has since expanded to service over 18 water systems and 3 wastewater systems. Russian River staff includes 5 operators, 2 office personnel, and a meter reader. Russian River Utility is an active member of the American Water Works Association, California Water Agencies, Wine Country Water Works Association, and California Rural Water Association. So administrator funding, who will pay for the administrator? The cost of an administrator is funded by the State Water Board, so it's a means of providing needed assistance to a designated public water system without cost to that public water system. Specifically, the State Water Board shall be responsible for the salary and benefits for the administrator. The designated water system will be responsible for all ordinary costs associated with operating and maintaining the water system, including, but not limited to, all planning and construction projects required to meet applicable water standards and requirements. Subject to fund availability and project eligibility, the State Water Board may provide funding for construction and planning projects and ongoing operation and maintenance costs as set forth in applicable funding guidelines and policies. As I mentioned earlier, an administrator will be required to regularly engage and communicate with stakeholders in the community. The administrator must keep stakeholders in the community informed and take their input into account. As previously mentioned, the administrator is required to conduct a public meeting before taking any of the following actions: finalizing an operations budget, entering into any long-term contracts, initiating any planning projects or infrastructure improvements, and lastly, before making any financial commitments. Any ratepayer, renter, or property owner who receives water from a designated water system, which receives services from an administrator, may submit a petition to the State Water Board for the reversal or modification of a decision of an administrator or substitution of the administrator. So, as community members, you have a say in this process. It should be noted, the filing of a petition does not stay or in any way void or limit the decision or action of the administrator being challenged in the petition. Any such petition shall include the following information: contact information, including name and address of the petitioner, and identification of the reason or reasons the petitioner seek substitution of the administrator or reversal or modification of the administrator's decision. A petition seeking modification or reversal of an administrator's decision must be received by the State Water Board within 30 days of the date of the administrator's decision. A petition seeking substitution of administrator may be submitted at any time. So what are the next steps? The Valley Forge Water Association customers can provide public comment through email or mail through January 26th. The State Water Board and Russian River Utility will work with the State Board's Division of Financial Assistance to develop a scope of work, or to put it simply, develop the necessary administrative tasks that will be eligible to receive reimbursement. Working with the Division of Financial Assistance, a funding agreement will be developed and then executed. Simultaneously, the State Board will issue an order to the Valley Forge Water Association ordering the implementation of Russian River Utility as the full scope administrator. This order will give Russian River Utility total and complete managerial control over the Valley Forge Water Association. As previously mentioned, the administrator will hold quarterly public meetings to discuss the performance of the water system, the financial health of the water system, any major projects or plans going forward, any changes to the water rates, and any other significant matters. The administrator will also be required to develop a post-administrator drinking water service plan. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Itzel.
Hi, thank you, Stephen and Brian, for that valuable information. I know I learned something. So that wraps up our presentations for the night, and we are now eager to complete our conversation and hear from you.